And welcome back. We are live here at Vicksburg High School. The 2024 Gators season is underway. The Gators are trying to complete a pretty good 48 hours for Vicksburg football. The 8th grade team won, and the JV won. And now, can the Gators make it 3 for 3? We'll find out here coming up as we get ready for some Friday night football, the Red Carpet Classic, as the Gators get set to take on Holmes County Central. Former Gator coach Marcus Rogers coming back to Vicksburg. Should be an entertaining Red Carpet Classic. Glad you could join us as we're talking with Vicksburg High coach Chris Lacey in the second season. Coach, you look wonderful. Is this typical? Is this unusual? Or is it just this is just how you are from time to time?
It's just from time to time. It just depends on the occasion. I had a speaking engagement this morning, so I had to dress up for it. And, it's good to let the kids and the boys in the school see you dress up sometimes.
Do you believe in the theory, dress to impress?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. I believe in that wholeheartedly, for real.
Well, the Gators trying to impress the folks here in the Red Carpet Classic here against Holmes. And, Coach, getting ready for another season, there's a lot of pieces here. Got a chance to watch the Jamboree last week against Clinton. And we'll talk about your aggressive style in that in terms of, is that something we'll see going forward? But how do you feel about your roster, this team, on both sides of the ball offensively, the Corey Knight and your defense with Blackmore? And it's a lot of good pieces here to do a lot of good stuff.
Well, one, when you lose 20 seniors who, 75% of them last year were four-year starters since COVID, it's hard to replace them guys. But, I got a philosophy where you find what a kid can do well and you put them on the field. So a lot of these guys played last year, DeCorey and that offensive line and some of the linebackers. They all contributed last year on the team. So I got some veterans out there. It's just getting those new guys kind of acclimated with, what we like to do and what Friday night looks like. It's totally different from Monday and Tuesday. So I think we kind of found out Friday what we needed to work on. The lights were kind of bright for some of them, but they've done a good job in practice this week, so I'm excited to see them this Friday.
20 people lost from last year's team. Is that typical or atypical for high school football?
Well, you have most, you got some schools, 7A schools, 6A schools who have a big number of seniors, 32, 30, whatever comes out of it. But in our case, we had 20 kids that played football for 4 years. Now, that's the thing, if those 20 are actually playing and contributing. So that's what kind of, put a hole in the dirt for us, is the fact that those kids contributed so much in different spots with us. So, that ain't typical if they playing, but the fact that we have so many kids that play, it helped us out.
Well, just talk about some of those replacements that come in, the plug and play. I mean, last year we talked about Ronnie Alexander, but then this year in the backfield, you got Sid Blackmore at 439 yards last year and 3 touchdowns. DeCorey Knight, who was all over the field since he's been here. He was all over the field in the Jamboree last week on the defense. You got Dennis Battle. I mean, you've got a lot of good pieces. Just talk about what we can expect this season.
Well, all those kids are 3-year starters. They're good leaders. They do what they're supposed to do out at practice. You got to get on them sometimes. These just high school boys, so sometimes you got to get on them and, keep grooming them and things. But as far as, good kids, they all good kids. They good leaders. They do what I ask them to do. And, again, I'm excited to see them work. DeCorey did a good job last week of leading on the sideline. I saw him when I took him out of the game, how he was encouraging everybody else and coaching up the younger backs, and said doing the same, and Dennis also.
The number one deal is the quarterback position. 4-year starter, and Ronnie Alexander, he's moved on. Michael Johnson was the anticipated starter. He transferred to Germantown. So talk about the quarterback position and Maxie and what he brings to the table. Well,
Jamaica was our 4th-string quarterback last year. I know he didn't expect to be in the situation that he's in right now, but, that's how God do it sometimes. You got to prepare yourself to be ready to be in the fight when it's your time to swing. So he's always been a guy that prepares the way he's supposed to prepare. I just been evaluating since spring his attention to detail, and him being himself. I tell him you ain't got to be Mikey, you ain't got to be Ronnie, be Jamaica, and whoever that is, that's who we're going to take into the fight for us to win. So whatever his strengths are, we're going to use those to help us win football games.
When you have a quarterback like that with limited experience, I would imagine, I would assume, with your running game being what it is with Blackmore and DeCory Knight, if the running game gets going, how important will that be to make Jermichael more comfortable at the quarterback position?
Well, it helps him out. You know what I'm saying? He know that's, you could call it a safety blanket or whatever you want to call it, but he knows that he got playmakers that he handing the ball off to. So like I tell him now, your biggest job for us is to make sure everybody lined up right, go through your checks when you need to, more so be the mental guy. I'm not going to put you in a position to hurt yourself, and you don't need to put yourself in a position to hurt yourself. You know, you do exactly what it is that you're supposed to do within the play, and, you know, lean on them guys to help you out, and everything will be all right.
So it could be a more simplified approach, at least to start, to get him comfortable?
Yeah, I mean, our system, you know, last year we, you know, kind of kept some things from the wing tee and stuff, but this year I've kind of, you know, when you look at us play this year, you're going to look at what a Christopher Lacey team is, what I wanted to look like. You know, last year having that short off season and, you know, with the hiring and everything, I wasn't able to implement what I wanted to do all the way. But now I got a team that kind of looks like me and looks like my mind. So Jermichael is taking upon my identity, and he's handling it well.
Well, your identity leading up to being a head coach was defensive coordinator. So
Right.
you have a new defensive coordinator, the identity. So I'll talk about how you've been able to incorporate your identity and your vision on the defensive side of the ball as we look at that side.
Well, we got good coaches, and that's one thing I want to give a shout out to Paul Wilson and Joe Johnson, Jalen Whitaker, and Tyrese Wolf. I got some young coaches who recently almost just got done playing football, and they got their first wins last night in the 8th grade game and the 9th grade game as coordinators. You know, you want to put them in position to be able to learn also. And they students, you know, we always late nights in front of the camera, you know, going through the mental part of the game, trying to show them stuff that I've learned throughout the way. And Coach Bennett and Coach Archer and Coach King, Coach Carter at the middle school, they done brought them along too also. With the defensive coordinator situation, Paul was up under me last year. When he was a player, I used to work him out in the offseason, so he kind of knows what it is that I want to see on defense. I mean, it's the same defense. He putting his own little touch on it, and I tell him, you know, I'm not calling plays no more, so you have to find a way to mingle and match with those kids and get them to, you know, lead them and follow you. So he been learning, he been doing his thing, and I'm satisfied with him right now.
Well, let's talk about your defense, led by Dennis Battle at 75 tackles and 12 tackles for loss last year. Henderson, just talk about the defensive side and what we can expect this year.
It's gonna be the same thing. You know, we play a lot of man-to-man defense. You know, we're gonna walk up, we're gonna get in your face, we're gonna play ball. I feel like that's what helps kids get to college. So we're gonna try to. Our system is kind of built on getting the kids to the next level, which we've done a good job of doing that in the past couple of years. You know, all over the defense. Dennis grew up in the defense, so he started as a sophomore, and he's somebody that we leaning on to lead, and he is doing that. You know, he knows it. He's doing exactly what I asked him to do. He's at practice every day, you know, coaching guys up. And then we got people who been there too. Also, Cam Naylor, Steven Anderson, Mensa Minor. You know, those guys have been a part of the defense. We got a leader in every group on defense, somebody who has played on the defense the whole time. So those guys have been bringing those young guys along in order to make it what it is. My philosophy is big time, just run to the ball. Run to the ball, let them people run the ball, tackle the football, and we'll be all right.
We know what you've got up front in the middle, but I saw last week in the Jamboree, Mensa Minor, out there on an island. He mixes it up pretty good with those receivers. Don't let the size fool you. He packs a punch. He's got a lot of heart, a lot of fight.
Yeah, see, Mensa came along. We saw Mensa as a basketball player first, and then he was a quarterback in 9th grade, and then he was a receiver. And then we was like, you know, let's just move him to defense. He actually got in one play 2 years ago against Callaway. When JD got hurt, and he did pretty well. So after that, he said, Coach, I want to play defensive back. He's a good student, good kid. He locks in, does what he's supposed to do. We had a funny moment last week where first play of the game, they throw a deep ball on us, and the kid caught it. He come to the sideline, and he says, Coach, we got to get him out of there. I said, no, you go out there and you teach him and you coach him. So he went out there and he kind of settled the kid down, and he ended up playing better throughout the game.
Well, when you look at special teams, you know, there were some times in which you're going for two. But I saw the Jamboree opportunity with some good punts, with some PATs and things like that. You know, I was in the gas station in town one day last year, and a guy that knows about soccer said, "Man, we need to get some kickers." I mean, he said, "I know some kickers. I know that can probably help this program in terms of getting some kickers." How have you been able to patch that?
Well, God done blessed us, man. I done got on my knees plenty of nights, and I asked the good Lord for somebody to put that ball through the uprights. I mean, we've had guys that can kick the ball, but we haven't had guys who are kickers, if that makes sense. And we've been blessed with a kid named Abel Gonzalez. He plays soccer, actually. He's on the baseball team, and Abel does a good job of coming out and doing what he's supposed to do. He surprised me. Good kid, come from a good family. I met his mom and his dad. He works hard. I mean, he took himself to some camps this year to get better. And I saw him last week put the ball through the upright, so it was pretty much confidence in that.
So we're going to be seeing a lot of PATs and, of course, field goals. Going for two, not as much.
It just depends on the situation. I'm an aggressive guy. If I feel like I can get it on two, I'm gonna go for it on two. That's extra 2 points. Same thing with the last play. Going at it. I mean, hey, we're going for the win, so that's what we did.
We're talking with Vicksburg High coach Chris Lacey as we get ready for the Red Carpet Classic. Before we look into, obviously, Holmes County, I want to talk about the JV, the 8th and ninth grade group, because you talked about those guys that are coaching on that side. Joe Johnson and others. Joe Johnson was a wonderful quarterback here at Vicksburg. That's kind of how I started doing games here. But Joe Johnson was the quarterback. How involved, and this is just a lesson for me to learn, how involved are you in the 8th and ninth grade programs? You were at the game the other night here at home. Are you over that unit as far as picking coaches and assistant coaches and all that? How does that process work?
Well, I mean, of course, I played football at Warren Central, and I'm familiar with all the coaches that was at Vicksburg before me. And it's high school football, and it's about nostalgia and things of that nature. So when I was coming up, you got guys like Coach Steve and Coach Ers and all those guys who are from here, who coach kids from here. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to build a staff at Vicksburg of people who wore green, who understands what it means to be out on the field and wearing them colors. When I was at Warren Central as a kid, all my coaches had some type of involvement in playing out there, and I wanted that here, and we done it. I got 7 coaches on staff right now who all wore green, and they're not just a fan. They're a former player. They might got kids on here, or their dads, you know what I'm saying? So it means more to those guys to be able to be on the sideline and do that. I saw that passion in Joe's face last night where, he probably remember being an 8th grader, playing football here, but at the same time, now he coaching them. So it just means a little more when he see that Gators on the side of the helmet, and he know that he pushing them guys to the next level. Same thing with Paul, same thing with Tyrese, and Andre Bennett and all those guys. So it's a win for us to have guys. They teaching me culture of Vicksburg that I didn't even know since they out there. So it helps out a lot.
It does, and you could just tell the passion just even from the home game here Wednesday night. So as you look at this Red Carpet Bowl Classic, and we get the season underway here in a few moments, Holmes County, Coach, just talk about what Coach Rogers' team brings to the table. I'd imagine feisty, intense. Seems to be a pretty good football team. He always has had a pretty good team. What do you expect?
I just want to say before I move forward to that question, Coach Corey Knight also, he's on our staff too, and he's a former Gator, so
okay.
He brings a little bit to it too, so everybody kind of in that. Well, Holmes County, they're kind of like a rival. We've been playing them in district, out of district for the past 8 years, I think, since I've been here, and we done had some knockout, drag-out games with them. We actually beat them and won a district title a couple years ago. And, I mean, I'm familiar with Coach Rogers when he was coaching here. I know his style of play. Very, 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 very talented group of football players up there. They got a Danny Dozen, big old offensive line. Quarterback, to me, is probably the best quarterback in Mississippi. He just doesn't have the height. And last year, he killed us, man. He made me get better as a coach. So preparing for them has been a challenge. The kids have been doing pretty well. They're preparing for them. And it's going to be fun to get out there and see can we get a in the win column with them.
You talked about what you learned and what you're being taught. Before we went on, when you talked about your scouting opponents, you look at these spring games.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, I'm assuming jamborees, of course, because those are recent games. But you look at those spring games and you get a lot of information from those. And I'm thinking it's kind of an eye candy type of thing, but there's a lot more seriousness and a lot more detail in those spring games. Even though that's been several months ago, you can pull a lot from those. What were you able to pull from at least from what you see from Holmes County and just the spring games in general as you get ready for a first game?
Well, the first thing you pull out is who is who. I mean, you got kids that play multiple sports in the spring, so you might have basketball guys, baseball guys who are not there. So it gives you an opportunity to see if that team has depth. What the backup quarterback look like, what the backup running back look like. So if somebody, Lord Billy, knock on wood, somebody goes down, or do they have a two-headed monster, you can see who it is behind who on that team to give you a depth perspective of the football team that you're going to play. At the same time, you get to see how well coached they are. Do they like to play together? Who's going to be a guy? I mean, that quarterback played in the spring, so I could tell that his focus is on football. I heard he's a baseball player, but he was in the spring game. So if he was in the spring game, that means that either the baseball team was bad or he just loved football a lot. So he probably too platooned it. And I had the opportunity to see that. So it's a lot of stuff you get to learn from him. You just sitting in the stands. You kind of get the base plays from him, stuff they'll do on first down, second down, things like that. Because they're not going to give you too much. But you kind of get their base runs and things that they want to be good at.
This is year 2 for you here at Vicksburg and getting to know you. You are very detail-oriented. There's not a lot that gets by you in terms of preparation. You just talked about how you look at the stuff in these spring games and how you prepare for an opponent. You're very detailed. Not saying no other coach is, but you really drill down on the little things because that can help you somewhere, if not immediate, down the road.
Right, most definitely. I mean, you got to be that way. We all doing the same stuff. I mean, power gonna be power, counter gonna be counter, cover 3 gonna be cover 3. I don't think that's the stuff that's gonna win the football games. I tell the kids all the time, when you watch film, you're going against another person, so just study that person. If he comes out there and he's running a route a certain way, what foot does he have up on the line? Does he pull his gloves a certain way if he finna get the ball? Most kids, if they not finna get the ball, they won't do anything. But then you have some kids where this is my opportunity to get the ball, he gonna have some type of anxiety and he ready to pull that stuff off of film and you would know it. And if I had the football team here right now, if they mic me up in a football game, I'm literally on the field saying he's about to run reverse. He's about to do, because I done studied it so much to know what everybody does. So I spend a lot of time on doing that type of stuff.
What did you learn in year 1? Just being the head coach, being the DC under Coach McDaniel, being handed the keys. What did you learn about being a high school head football coach year 1?
Time management, finding a way to take care of your time, do what you believe in. You ain't gonna always be right, you ain't gonna always be wrong, but it's gonna always be you. So you kind of gotta figure that you're gonna get the blame for the good and the bad. So you just need to, take it. I learned to be more involved with the kids, be more involved with the school, just be more detailed, find different ways to get the kids more, you're a teacher at the end of the day. So you gotta have a lesson plan for what you're trying to do on a day-to-day basis. So I learned that also. And just thank God every day. I mean, I said after the game last Friday, I was like, it's somebody, I told the kids, it's somebody somewhere, sick. It's somebody somewhere, without this or without that. And we out here playing football on Friday. So let's just enjoy the opportunity to be out here and do this. So the big thing is just enjoying every day you get to do it. You only get 10 guaranteed Fridays. So try to enjoy every single day.
Coach, keys to kickoff here, week 1, Holmes County, red carpet, offense, defense, special teams. What are the keys to victory?
We got to block them. We can't make mistakes, can't fumble the ball. We had a fumble last week. I think the 2 turnovers led to us, putting them on the board, which we can't do. I don't even think they really had a runs in the game. I don't think they ran the ball well last week. We gave up the 3 long passes. So like I told the kids, y'all got to look at this, as a whole. Take away them 3 long balls. We stopped the run. I think we beat them 21-0 last week if we do it the right way. So we got a really good team. And just trying to get the kids to understand that we got to get this quarterback in a bottle. If we don't contain him, he beat us. He's a really, 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 really good kid. And a lot of times these kids in this generation, they don't want to they think giving credit to somebody else is a bad thing. But like I tell them, that's knowing your opponent. So respect his strengths and try to capitalize on his weaknesses. We got to take away his strength from him. So this quarterback himself can play some football. And if we don't contain him, he could be a problem. So we've done a good job of respecting this kid and then trying to put him in situations where he got to mess up.
Well, the Red Carpet Classic coming up, Coach. I'm looking forward to going 1-0. 3 of the first 4 games are at home, so if we get off to a good start, we could be in for something.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be fun. Non-district, trying to come out at 5-0 so we can go up into district play on their bye week and just, kind of fix whatever it is we need to fix. We got a pretty good competitive schedule, so I'm excited to, get out there and move around with you guys.
Coach, let's go get them.
Yes, sir.
We'll take this time out here. When we come back, we'll have the play-by-play here on the Red Carpet.